people want to become rich, but they're not willing to put in the work. What does it come down to? Is it lack of discipline, lack of motivation? They're being brainwashed by society. And I think people get so distracted with chasing a shiny penny, and people really do find it difficult to follow simple processes. And people get bored.
Everyone that I've ever met, it's like, it's not really about the money. It's always something deeper. It's something that they're trying to prove.
I think more and more today, people are waking up to the fact that what we've been shown through the schooling system, through the educational system, we've been told to work the 40-40-40 plan. Work 40 hours a week for 40 years, retire on 40% of your pension. That just doesn't work for most people.
Let's talk about the strategies that are out there. There's a good reason to be skeptical about people who are living, breathing proof of whatever vehicle they've used to get them to where they are, like yourself and me, the hype and whatever's working and whatever's getting people's attention. How do you filter out the noise?
I'm here today with Jason from the Always Free podcast, and we're going to be doing a deep dive on investing, how to make, manage and multiply money so you can live the life that you truly deserve and desire. What does it come down to? Is it lack of discipline? Is it lack of motivation? Is it they're being brainwashed by society? And I think people get so distracted with chasing a shiny penny, and people really do find it difficult to follow simple processes, and people get bored and they get distracted. And if something doesn't quite go their way, they blame the system or they blame the person or they say it doesn't work. And we know, because we've been there, I've been poor, I've been rich, I've been poor again, and luckily I've been able to make the money back even easier, even faster. But people do find it very difficult to stay in that process. And if they have some ups and downs, it's like, oh, that doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, but I mean, you've been through it, haven't you? I mean, we're in a mastermind together, and you was telling me some truths about your own personal journey. Yeah. And you went right into the depths of despair and still managed to come out and rebuild and get it all back. So do you think it is a burning desire based on like your upbringing or experiences that you have in life, or do you think it's just people chasing things that actually they think is a quick buck and then it's not sustainable for them because, does it have to be in you, or do you think it's something that you can, because everyone that I've ever met, it's like, it's not really about the money. There's something deeper. There's always something deeper. It's something that they're trying to prove almost.
Yeah, I can only talk from my own personal experience, but ever since I was like 7-8 years of age, I've always had this burning desire to make a lot of money, to protect my family, and to prove to the world that I'm going to make it. And yes, that perhaps is definitely down to what I saw in my upbringing. Not only just that, but my mum was a single parent. She went through a divorce with my dad when I was 2. She then had not the best marriage to her second husband, and that was really quite challenging. And there was a lot of violence in that relationship, and there was a lot of upset. And I remember once we were living in a women's refuge, and one of my first ever memories was in a cold, dark, damp room, and me and my mum and my brother, who was 2 at the time, and I was 8, we were eating out of a cold tin of spaghetti bolognese. And I just remember having this moment of, this is not how I want our life. And I just associated, well, if I can get rich, then I can make the pain go away. Yeah. If I can get rich, I can make the pain go away. And maybe consciously or subconsciously in that moment, I made a decision that I was going to become a multi-millionaire. So that drove me. And at that time, my big why was get off the council estate, look after my mum and brother. Yeah. So that was a driving force for me.
This is where we're so aligned. I think like when I grew up on the same thing, council estate, my dad had left before I was born, had someone else knocked up at, I've got a sister like the same age as me. And, he was a gangster and all this kind of stuff. And then all I remember is like sitting in a flat, dark, where the electricity had run out, and my mum was in the bath she was like a prude, so she wouldn't let me in. So I was outside the door in this long corridor. I vividly remember this. Bailiffs knocking on the door all the time. And I think what I sought was security. And I don't think it was necessarily money, because I didn't know what money was, but it was security. It was like stabilization of life. That's what I wanted. And obviously money is a means to provide that. And I was driven, intrinsically to provide security for myself and for my family. So when I had kids, it was like a rocket up my arse. I was like, I cannot have them have the feelings that I had as a kid. So it was like, whatever I need to do to provide that security, I'll do. And as a byproduct of that, you just end up creating wealth and building freedom for yourself. So let's talk about the strategies that are out there. Like there's a good reason to be skeptical about. There is a lot of crap out there, right? There's people who are living, breathing proof of whatever vehicle they've used to get them to where they are, like yourself and me. And then there's people spurting off just kind of the hype and whatever's working and whatever's getting people's attention. How do you filter out the noise? Like what?
Yeah, there is a hell of a lot of noise out there. And I think more and more today, people are waking up to the fact that what we've been shown through the schooling system, through the educational system, we've been told to work the 40-40-40 plan, work 40 hours a week for 40 years, retire on 40% of your pension. That just doesn't work for most people. People are working 70 hours a week. They're working into their 70s, their 80s. People's pensions are hitting the wall. So people are out there right now and they've woken up to the fact that perhaps what we've been told for the last 30, 40, 50, 60, 100, 200 years, the system is broken and people are looking for help. They're looking for support. Everywhere you look right now, everyone's an influencer. Everyone's online. Everyone's doing videos. And you do have to be absolutely careful who you're listening to, who you're trusting. So I have great mentors. I'm a mentor myself. Yeah. I invest massively every year into training and courses and great mentorships and mastermind programs. But I make sure that I do the research and the due diligence on who I'm going to be working with. And, a lot of people out there, you can get a lot of their help for very low cost. And a lot of people, like if you look at what you do online and your YouTube videos, you pretty much just give it all away anyway.
Yeah.
To build that rapport, to build that trust. So what I would suggest to people is find the person or the group or the team that you gel with, do your research, do your due diligence, dip your toe in the water, test, tweak, repeat, and then start to look to build a long-term relationship with those one or two people. You don't need to go and get help from 20 or 30 people. One or two people can really, really start to change your life.
Yeah, I think that you're spot on. I think the difference between a good mentor and probably someone who you shouldn't listen to too much is, what were they doing before social media? Like I was a trader, a very introverted investor, and you've seen my first attempt at a YouTube video. It was shocking, like 4 hours to do a 4-minute video. And I didn't want to do the social media. I've had to do that so that I can get my message out to more people, and I enjoy doing that. But primarily I was an investor and a trader and an engineer. Like I wasn't meant for the camera. So whenever I go out on camera, I just want to get the right message to people, and I want to share that with them. And as I say, on my YouTube, I give a lot away for free, and you give a lot away of value for free as well. But I do think I don't know if people like to, because Google's there, right? You can go and check customer reviews, testimonials, things like that. But people don't seem to want to do that. I don't know if it's they're frightened that their ego will be hurt, that they've been led down a garden path. But I also think, as you said, every experience you've had with anyone is always a learning curve, isn't it? It's always a stair step. So although you might have got scammed or not got as much value as you thought, it was still a necessary step along the way. Like I think people think that people who are successful, they just had this easy run up the ladder and luckily found all the right mentors. Where I've had tons of where I've gone, oh, do you know what? I paid a couple of grand for that and I didn't really get anything from it, and they're not who they said they were. But I don't look at it as like, that's a scam. I just look at it as that was a lesson, and I needed to do that at that point because I wasn't where I should be. Yeah. But now I won't do that, and I know what I don't need.
Yeah. So Yeah, you're right. Sometimes you have to go and do some training to realize that person wasn't for you or that training wasn't for you.
Yeah.
But I think certainly here in the UK, people very much have a blame mentality.
It's easier to blame.
It's easier to blame, and people find it extremely difficult to keep themselves to a high level of accountability. So they do the training, they try it, it doesn't work, and maybe that training was incredible, but they didn't follow the process. They didn't put in the hours, they didn't study enough. And now they're blaming the vehicle or the strategy or the property or the trading, and it doesn't work. Where actually, if they just stuck with it, ask for a bit more help and guidance. People find it really hard actually to ask for help. You know, you think how many people out there every single day are investing thousands of pounds on online training courses, which are incredible, by the way, if you use them. And they don't even log into the portal. They don't even log in. They don't put time aside. So you have to be disciplined, and I think you have to be extremely focused, and you've got to really be tuned into your vision and your why. What is the real reason why you want this extra money?
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time it's not actually the money, like you said. What's the real reason behind it? And that might be some pain. That might be something to do with your family. That might be to building a legacy. And I also believe there's a lot of people out there, because of the difficult childhood they had, or how difficult it is in their workplace, and they're just surviving, not thriving. A lot of people are led to believe that they can't be rich. So their belief system is completely wired the wrong way.
Yeah.
So they don't even believe they can be rich. It's mad.
I know. No, totally. And having the why is definitely important. And part of Always Free is about understanding what that is, so that you can be yourself. It's about being free from societal pressure, societal beliefs, and just looking up to people really, and trying to chase what someone else wants. Because a lot of the time, if you look at your life, sometimes it's like, do you know what? I do have enough. I'm only beating myself up because I'm chasing that for them, not for me. So it's knowing your number, knowing how much you need to have the ideal life. And then once you have that, you can put a plan in place and bolt on a wealth strategy that's going to help you move towards that. And whether that's property or investing or trading or online business or whatever it is, it's definitely possible. It's just, as you said, it's such a small amount of people, that have that level of self-accountability that makes them take the action steps. I remember I worked out, like when I was doing my newsletter, I used to write a 5,000 word email every Sunday. I did it for 86 Sundays. That's like accountability in itself. But the idea was just to give action steps to people. And with 5,000 people, based on all of the click-throughs and the click of the links and people taking action, we worked out about 18 people are actually doing the work and like writing to us and going, I've done this, I've done that. 18 out of 5,000.
Wow.
And when you think of that and you apply that to everything in life, it's no wonder that the minority of people just control the majority of the world's wealth, which is absolutely true. But anyone can take as much of that wealth as they like, right?
It's out there.
It's out there, circulating.
There's so much money in the world right now, and it's available for every single person. And there's actually a lot of people out there. Most people know how to make money, right? Okay, in some way. Might not be making as much as you want to make, but there's people out there on half decent salaries, but they still are in bad debt.
Yeah.
There's people out there on mega salaries, but retire and they've got no money left. So I call it the 3 M's: how to make money, how to manage money, and how to multiply money. Now, most people make money from a job or business. We make money from investments and trading and property and also business. I've got a great business, and but I think there needs to be some major work done on showing people how to get started and actually become an investor and how to manage their money.
Yeah.
You know, what would be some sort of good tips that you would say on what people can do? Just, you know, people tuning into this now, they earn money, they don't know how to manage their money. What could be some great things that they could do? Yeah,
I always talk about making money and managing money, 2 totally different studies. I've worked with people who earn millions and have nothing every month, literally every month. I worked with a trader who was in New York, and he was on 1.5 million income via a profit share with the prop firm, and he had no money because he was going every Friday, be in the bars with a firework, to do all the display around the thing, and it had the whole booth. Ego, right? Yeah. And I've worked with YouTubers, all these kind of rich people that look rich but have no money. I've also worked with people who have earned no more than 30 grand their entire life, but have millions liquid saved, but they're very they're the ones that have midlife crisis because they feel like resentful they haven't lived, and they get to like 55 and they're like,
have a balance, right?
You've got to have a balance. You've got to enjoy.
I like to enjoy my life
exactly.
Too, right?
And the only way you do that is understand the two studies of making money and managing money. So making money is being able to extract money from another human being via fair exchange, or you beat them at a skill, right? So I can box you and beat you and win, or I can play golf with you and win some money, or I can serve you in some way and you give me the money in fair exchange for that. And that's a great way, that's a great skill to learn. Providing value for people, providing a service that's going to help them, and you'll get paid handsomely for it. When you take that money, if you go and blow that on, keeping up with someone and buy the Lambo or whatever, and you can't quite afford that at the moment, then you're not going to be wealthy. It's just going to still be on this hamster wheel, and you're no better off than someone who's just in a corporate job spending his money at the weekend. So you have to learn how to manage the money. And the way you manage the money is you build, I always look at money as time. So how much time you can buy into the future based on your current living costs. So you add up what your lifestyle costs, and I recommend that everyone works out what their ideal lifestyle costs. So be truthful. Don't say I want 2 Lambos on the drive if you don't. Like I've had supercars. To me, they're just not worth it. They're such a liability, man.
Such a cash cow.
Oh my God. Ridiculous.
So I still like the Lambos.
Right. yeah. No, I got that out of my system. And like for me, that's not a thing. But if it is valuable for you, absolutely, add it in. Price it up. Then you've got a figure to work with. And that figure is what you want to build towards with money. Like how many months can you afford that lifestyle if your income stopped? That's the key. And the way you do that is through investing, and you only get that by assets. Assets for Life is your company. Yeah. You either buy an asset or you create an asset. You can buy an asset, which is like a stock or a property, something that will give you a yield, or you create an asset, which is a highly leveraged online business, or you create a system in your business that no longer needs you, and now it's providing you income without you and your time. And there's many ways you can do that. So the way that I like to do it is structure it in like a pyramid. So very low risk, low return assets for the majority of my cash, and then I slowly build up higher and higher speculation, like into stocks, and then into property, and then into trading. And the higher you go up that, the less allocation is put towards it, but the more skills required. So with property, like my idea of like stock investing and trading for property is like buy to lets would be like passive investing, where you just get a smaller return, and then trading would be buy and flipping. And I think you would agree that flipping a property requires more of a skill than it does to buy to let. Anyone can buy to let and think.
And slightly more risk because the market to turn on you. You might not get the selling price. Build costs could go up. So there is more of an element of risk.
Yeah.
We're doing something like that.
And you have to know where to pick the property. Yep. You have to know where you're selling it to before you bought it and have the buyers, right? So you're a trader basically. And to get to that point, you've developed a lot of experience and skill, right? Someone can't just come in off the street and go, I'm going to flip properties. That's ridiculous. That's just trading. And usually people go broke trying to do that. So going back to your question, it's basically put most of your money where you're going to get a lower return but outperform inflation and interest and in the bank and things like that. And then build a skill that's going to allow you to accelerate the growth of that in something you enjoy, whether that's property or whether it's trading or investing in the stock market or building businesses. One of my friends, Sebastian Bates, he got into trading a little while ago and he couldn't handle it, but he was really good at aggressively building businesses. So he said, you know what, my speculation is business, and I can lose $500,000 in business and stomach it, but I can't lose $500,000 in trading. Yeah. And that's his thing. So he took his money out of that and went into business.
Very interesting.
So I would my answer is like, become an expert in something that you enjoy and resonates with you, and earn your biggest return on that. And then put the rest of the money that you earn, the surplus, into delegated assets that you don't have to work for, because that's ultimately freedom.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely fantastic. And I was one of those people in my 20s. I've always loved business and entrepreneurship, and I was the kid in school that would sell you whatever you wanted. And I was knocking on doors at the age of 15, 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. Actually, when I left school, I left college. So I've always been out there knowing how to make the money. Made my first million at the age of 21. Made many more millions in my 20, but I had no idea how to manage. And it was the lifestyle, it was the fast cars, it was the champagne, it was the first class flights, and made some bad investment decisions actually. And then it just all went.
Oh, well,
it just, everything.
Don't take long though, does it?
Everything went. It was unbelievable. I lost the business. I invested into some bad property actually. I didn't have any mentors, didn't have any guidance. And I found myself in a very dark place where after all these years of having like an extravagant lifestyle, I literally had minus £392,000.
Yeah. And
it was horrific. So coming back this time round, these last 10 years, high up on my values and my agenda was I need people around me that can actually teach me how to manage my money correctly.
Yeah.
Because there's only so many times you can make and lose, then you're going to die.
Yeah.
And the last thing I want to do is leave my wife and my kids and not having built that legacy. So I just got to a point in my life, and maybe people tuning into this now, if you're at a point right now where you're sick and tired of not having money, you got to do something about it. And you can start something really small. It's not like you have to go and invest tens of thousands of pounds every single month. So I'm doing this, and again, I'm not giving advice here whatsoever, but with my son Charlie, he's 17 now, he's working for me. I'm teaching him a skill set of sales, because I think sales is really, really important. Once you know how to sell and communicate and motivate and inspire, you'll pretty much be able to make money wherever you are in the world, in anything you want to do, right? So I've got him under my wing right now. He's learning sales. My daughter's 19. She's working for a sales company too. And every single month he gets paid, I sit him down, and the first thing we do is we put X amount of money straight into his ISA, X amount of money straight into his ISA. And I think that's a great thing. He's 17, he's doing that now. And then we figure out what's left. And then that is what he then has a budget. He's got his weekly budget. He's got his monthly budget.
Amazing.
And if people can get into the habit of investing first and then spending less stuff on shit. Those £300, £400, £500, £600 you're putting away every month, they will soon compound over the next 5 or 10 years. Like my boy, if he continues to do this, he could be a multi-millionaire in his 20s.
You put if you just manage money like that, you unlock part of your brain that allows you to make more money as well. That's the magic that I can't get across to people. When you have time bought in the bank, you unlock a more creative part of your brain. You become a better parent, better partner, better spouse, better colleague, better boss. And you talk differently, and you see opportunities that you didn't see before, and you grow your income as a result of having money in the bank. The best example I give to this is like, if you've got no money in the bank and you're a builder, and I'm sure you've dealt with lots of builders, right? And you just say, look, I'm going to pay your invoice, but I just need you to come around and sort these snags out, right? The builder's agitated because he's like, you're attacking my work, what do you mean there's no snags? You go around because you're in scarcity mode and you can't afford to put food on the table. You go around, you're like, what, this is it there. You build a bad rapport. They're not going to pay you what they owe you, so you lose money. They're not going to recommend you, so you lose money. And you never got the money. Whereas if you flip that exact same story, but you've got like 6 months living expenses in the bank, you ring me up and say, I'll pay your invoice, but I just want to snag your work. No worries. I'm going to come round. I want to make sure we've got a long-term relationship going forward. I want to make sure you're happy. There's a calmness. And you go around and you sort it out and you go the extra mile and you go, are you all happy now? they're going to go, do you know what? I'm going to pay you that, and I'm going to pay you a tip, and I'm going to recommend you to all my friends. Then you become oversubscribed, and then you charge more because you know, and it's just a completely different life trajectory based on having 6 months living costs in the bank.
Exactly. It completely takes the pressure off.
Yeah.
And it makes you feel good, because again, most people don't have more than 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
3 weeks worth of living costs.
Yeah.
They don't have that. So you're constantly in a scarcity mindset, constantly worried about your financial future.
Yeah.
And you are right. I saw it growing up with my mum. My mum's fantastic. I love her to bits, but it was tough for her, you know, and I saw the effect that had on her as a mum, trying to just put food on the table for us. And it was tough going.
So look, we talked about, I love your 3 M's, by the way, making money, managing money, multiplying money. Let's talk about some juicy multiplying money.
Yeah, nice.
Because it all starts with mindset. That really is it. And I know that everyone needs to get that in their heads. Like, it's on you. No one else cares about what life you live. Honestly, they don't. And 2 generations time, no one will even remember you, which is, that's a real wake up call to just make these little 40 years that you've got left, maybe, if you're listening to this podcast, probably. Get it done. Like, build the life that you want. And it starts with a mindset. And now you know that you have to make money and manage money. Let's talk about multiplying money.
Multiply. So again, this was something which I definitely was not very good at. But now, very similar to what you said, my whole mindset is have some great cash flowing businesses, or do something in life that you really, really enjoy. So I love teaching, I love training, I love mentoring.
You're great at it, by the way.
Thanks very much.
Amazing.
I love doing this stuff and getting the message out there. And, Assets for Life today, we're the UK's leading property business and wealth training company, 50 full-time members of staff, year-on-year growth. We just had our H1 meeting yesterday, first half of this year. We're at 18% on last year. More success stories in the company. We've got our award ceremony in 6 months' time. And the whole ethos of our business is serve the client, customer success. Because the more people we can help, the more people are going to rave about us. Good. And then ultimately, I know the money and the profits are going to come. So it's about doing something that you enjoy, where you can make the money, then ultimately manage it correctly, have a budget, start to invest, delayed gratification. This is something people don't find. And then multiply it by becoming that investor, and then having the right tax efficient structures, trusts, pension type products that are legal, that have been checked over with your tax advisors, so you and your family can keep the money for generation after generation after generation. Most people have the wrong type of pension. Most people, when they die, the money dies. Most people don't have lasting power of attorneys. Most people don't have the correct type of will. And it causes lots of problems for their family and their future. So they can't multiply the money. The money all goes to the tax man. And I'm all for paying the tax man, don't get me wrong, but I want to build generational wealth. And that's what I mean by multiply the money. So UK business owners, you could probably be in a position where you could get a SAS. So if you've got a profitable business, that is a fantastic type of pension, where you can have a number of different trustees, you can invest into commercial, you can do lots of great stuff with that, and you can put money into that SAS every single year. So I think it's important to plug money and think long term, and say, well, where do I want to be in 10 years? Where do we want to be in 20 years? What do I want to leave for my family? And then get the right advice to make sure you have the right structures, so you and your family hold on to the cash.
Amazing. And one of the things I'd add to multiplying money as well is, if you are making money well and you're managing money well, you can then take a portion of that managed money and literally double it by putting it into sensible speculations, right? So one of mine, for instance, was a startup. I'm able to now be on a board where I'll look at a pitch deck, come through, I understand the product, I take a bit of my cash because I've managed it wisely, I stick it into the thing. 5 years later, they do an exit, and you get a 600% return or something crazy, and you get some good ones. And as long as you're managing it well and you're not losing your shirt by putting everything in there, because you're managing your money, you can really multiply your money. Yeah. Like you get to a point where you can't help but make more if you're doing the first two. If you do the first two, you can't help but multiply. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I think it's important, and ultimately for me, it's like I want to be an investor. I want to be as hands-off as possible. Yeah. I want to master a few strategies. So property for me, like I've got a great team, and we do lots of different types of deals, and I use joint venture funding, use my own money, use money in the businesses. Trading for me is really important. Putting money into my kids' ISAs every year, my own ISAs, and maximizing that's really important. Having some more speculative stuff around Bitcoin and other things like that is important. So yeah, you get the first two right, it makes the third a lot easier. And it doesn't take that many years to really have your money start compounding, and then you're doubling your money, doubling your money, doubling your money.
So I guess the last question. This is a joint podcast, so we're both having just a discussion, which I've really enjoyed, by the way. Someone listening to this is 35, 36, maybe late 30s, early 40s. They are not currently pursuing the life that they want, and they've got this. I don't know about you, but I've found a lot of people when they get to like late 30s, hit 40, maybe early 40s, they have this kind of realization and a bit of a panic where it's like, I am halfway through my life nearly. I'm not quite on the track that I want to be on. There are opportunities out there. I don't know where they are. I don't know where to start. This is a big question, but what would you say to someone like that?
It's a great question, and there are tens of millions of people in the UK right now that are probably in that position. Yeah. I would highly suggest getting around a great mentor or a group of people in a mastermind, a mentorship program that's really going to help you see what you don't see.
Yeah.
The belief comes before the strategy. So if you've lost some belief and you've lost your way, you need to find a way of getting that spark back. And being in a mentorship group, being around some great people can really help that. So that's the first thing that I think people need to do. You then got to take stock of your life, and you've got to be accountable and start to get a really clear vision of where you want to be in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, and 10 years. The clearer you can be on that vision, the more likely you are to make it happen. I get off the grid once a year, and I do something called Vivid Vision. I get really clear on where we're at and where we're going. So that's important. And then it's about really knuckling down and learning some new strategies, because what you've been doing up until now may not have been working. It's not serving you to the highest level. So you've got to say, hey, I need to be open to doing something. Income follows assets. Invest in assets in the stock market. Invest in physical assets like property. But just really start focusing in on building assets that's going to generate you income one day at a time, £1 at a time. Be patient and just allow compounding to kick in over the next 20 or 10 to 20 years.
Yeah.
You?
Awesome. Yeah, mate, you took the words out of my mouth. I have to say, it's there's a lot of crap out there. You have to get really clear about what it is you actually want. As I said earlier on, it's having that goal. I do the same thing every December. We do a whole, there's a big process that we do, me and my family, and I've done it with my clients as well. Goal setting process, but being realistic about where you could be in a year, where you could be in 2 years. Otherwise, it's pie in the sky, and there's no plan. And I always say you get what you plan for, right?
Yeah. Love that.
You plan a barbecue, it happens. You plan a holiday, it happens, right? But what people don't get is if they don't plan their goals. So they just set goals, but don't plan the goals. But you get what you plan for. So just an example, if you plan a 7-day holiday, you probably spend about 2 hours planning that 7-day holiday, right? Which equates to about 1.6% of the total 7 days, right? So if you want a successful year, you need to, if you apply that to the year, you need to spend about 7 to 10 days planning that year to successfully pull off the year. And if you don't, well, you can't expect to possibly plan the year, right? So give more time to planning. be really crystal clear about what it is you want and how far away you are from each of those. And then that will give you motivation for a start, and then be around the right people. We are like, just for congruency, we're in a mastermind together, which we pay for, which isn't ours. And it's, there's no bias there. And we do that because there's a return. Like the fact, this opportunity here, we're both on this podcast together because of that. Who knows what will come of this? There'll be your audience looking at me, my audience looking at Liam, and there'll be loads of great relationships that come out of that. And then if it is the business side of things, my last tip is to be customer focused. That is the reason I'm here with Liam. Like that is my thing. I just focus on getting results for people because I know that they'll tell someone, and everyone wants what that person's got. It's no good me just going, I'm the greatest. It just doesn't work. So focus on getting results for someone, and your life will just transform. It's just amazing.
Awesome, man. Well, I hope that both of our audiences have got some incredible value from this.
I hope so.
And it will be great for us to do this again at some point in the future.
Yeah, amazing, man.
Awesome, man.
Thank
Cheers,
you.
Jason.